Hey everyone! So I wanted to make a video walking through how I was able to place first at TSA Nationals, and more importantly, what I learned along the way that can help you do good as well. For some background, I joined my school's TSA chapter in freshman year and participated all throughout high school into 12th grade. In ninth grade, I competed in the engineering design event with my team. Although we put in a good amount of work, we weren't able to make it past the regional level. However, it was still a good intro into how TSA competitions work and how much effort goes into these kind of events. In 10th grade, I tried out the transportation modeling event. It's this architectural event where you have to design and present a model of a vehicle. That year, I put a lot more time into my design and my documentation, and I was careful with the rubrics and tried to follow everything exactly. And I ended up placing fourth in nationals, which was a huge deal for me at the time. And then, last year in 11th grade, I decided to do the same event again using everything I had learned from the previous year. That was the main competition I focused on in 11th grade. I placed first at the state competition and moved on to place first at nationals for transportation modeling. I'm sharing what worked for me, what I'd wish I'd done earlier, and a few lessons I picked up from 3 years of competing. Here's some stuff that actually helped me out. This is something a lot of people overlook. But if you have an interview or a presentation, take a second at the start of your interview just to ask the judge about their background. It's literally as simple as, hey, would you mind sharing your background or what field you're in? Now, why does this matter? Well, really, it's because it helps you know what kind of an explanation might resonate more with a judge. For example, in 10th grade, my judge at Nationals was an actual engineer. I asked him that at the beginning of the interview. So I tuned my questions and my focus to talk more about technical things, like energy efficiency and power distribution, things that really clicked with them. In 11th grade, my judge was a middle school computer science teacher. So that year, I talked more about the learning process, what I struggled with, and what I took away from the project, and they really appreciated that. Honestly, your judge's background can vary a lot. They can be anything from a professional in the field of your event to another TSA teacher. But you're still talking about the same project. It's just that the way you talk about it shifts a little depending on who you're talking to. It shows that you're paying attention and that you understand your audience, which is honestly a skill in itself. Make sure to go above and beyond. This was the biggest shift between my 10th and 11th grade submissions. In 10th grade, I followed the rubric exactly, and I met every requirement. But that's the thing, so does everyone else in nationals. So in 11th grade, I kind of treated the rubric as the floor and not the ceiling. For example, if the rubric asked for 4 to 5 pictures for documentation, I added 7, but made sure they were meaningful and not just filler items. I included things like version comparisons, multiple diagrams, and even visuals of things that went wrong. And it's not about adding fluff, it's more about showing depth. Judges are looking for projects that stand out, and adding those extra layers helps that. Everyone at Nationals is good, and everyone meets the requirements, but you can stand out by going beyond that. Now, this tip goes hand in hand with the last one. Something I didn't really understand at first is that judging isn't totally objective. The judges won't just think, did you follow the rubric? It's also, how does this entry compare to the other ones I saw today? That means even if you score really well, someone else might have taken things a step further, and that could make the difference. So you have to make sure that your entry stands out. You always need to be thinking, what makes this entry unique, and what's one thing a judge is going to remember about mine? It could be a super creative design, a clean layout, or just a compelling backstory about why you picked the concept. Lean into whatever that is. Tip number 4, don't overcommit. I used to think that doing 3 or 4 events would help me get more opportunities, but when I really started doing better was when I cut it down. In 11th grade, I focused mainly on transportation modeling, which allowed me the breathing room to actually refine everything, my portfolio, my design, my interview preparation, without being stretched too thin. If I had to give a number, I'd say do 1 to 2 events realistically, or 3 if you're truly confident that your events don't overlap much. Remember that less stress is equal to a higher quality of work. Let your documentation tell the full story. Your documentation isn't just the paperwork, but more of the story of your project. Judges don't always know how much work goes into something unless you tell them. One thing I started doing differently in 11th grade was including failures and missteps. I showed early sketches that didn't work, explained problems I ran into, and shared how I changed things based on feedback or testing. That kind of honesty doesn't make you look unprepared, it makes you look thoughtful. It shows that you didn't just throw something together that worked, and that you went through a process, evaluated your decisions, and improved as you went on. Plus, it's way more interesting to read for a judge that's going through 50 to 100 different portfolios. Tip 6: Interviews matter. I used to think that interviews were just about repeating your documentation, but they're way more than that. You're there to walk the judge through your process, your decisions, and your design, not just the final product. Practice talking about your project in a way that feels natural. Go over it with a teammate or a parent or a friend. Ask them to throw questions at you randomly. It helps a lot with confidence. Also, be honest. If something doesn't go according to plan, say that, and then explain what you did about it. Judges respect honesty and maturity. And the last tip: winning isn't everything. In ninth grade, our team didn't even make it past regionals, but each year I got a little better, not just in terms of the results, but in how I worked, prepared, and how I thought through projects. So, even if you don't place or something doesn't go how you expect it, it's still worth it. You come out of it with real skills, and that builds up over time. So, yeah, getting a trophy does feel great, but TSA is more about building skills and learning how to create something from start to finish. If you treat each competition like a chance to improve, results will follow naturally. I hope this video helped you out in some way. If you're preparing for nationals, I'm wishing you the best of luck. Just remember to try your best and learn as much as you can along the way. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below and I'll be sure to answer them soon.